Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the In Perspective show. I'm looking a little white this morning. I'm not sure why. I guess it has to do something with the lighting. I don't know. Maybe, but I definitely don't like the look. But what are you gonna do? I It makes me look kind of real funny. Nevertheless, we're gonna proceed. This morning, the temperature in New York City is kind of very cold. I don't know why. It's that cold. It currently is 48 degrees, and my friend and family in Canada, uh, the one and only Robin Songboard Dennis was saying last night that uh, the spring is a time when well, of course, she said May. May month is the month when you have everything mixed up, snow and rain and sunshine and everything mixed up. We don't have snow. We didn't have much snow in New York City this year, but at least the cold is trying to compensate for the absence of the snow here this morning. In Guyana, the um, temperature definitely is not looking like it is here. It is 82, a spanking 82 degrees Fahrenheit in Guyana, which means it's glorious sunshine for the time being. But the forecast says that it's going to be a little, they're going to be a few clouds here and there um, as we go through the day. It's a pleasure being with you this morning. I see that the color is kind of adjusting itself a little. I don't know what's going on. Um, all right. All right. Sorry about that. I just got a message, something about Tina Turner. Nowadays, every time you see a message come up about one of these celebrities, is that the person has met their demise or passed. But thank God, the message is not that. I was just checking to make sure that I see what really they're saying about Tina Turner. I think they're saying that she's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that's a good thing. Not having to deal with the death. The COVID situation in Guyana is um, still troubling, to say the least. And we've got a lot of people traveling from uh, Brazil and Venezuela, and I understand there are even some Colombians in Guyana. And those countries that are known to be in a terrible state when it comes to the COVID-19 situation. So those of us who are Guyanese and are making fun of this whole situation, I realize that people are not putting on their masks. Every time you look at a video, you get the impression that these people in Guyana seem not to believe that COVID-19 is real. It seems as though we're going to have to send a few of the Democrat senators and Congress people down there to impress upon your minds the severity, the seriousness of this whole thing, because people are just monkeying around in Guyana. And some people are saying that the government should shut down the country. What sense does that make? That's not making much sense. Shut down the country for what? Nobody's allowed to go into Ghana unless you prove that you have the vaccine. That's number one. And number two, you've got to prove that you don't have COVID-19. You've got to come with a negative COVID test result. Um, that test had to have been taken no more than 3 days before you traveled. So why are you saying shut the country down? It doesn't make any sense to tell people shut the country down. Um, but but uh, it's mind-boggling. I'm laughing because I'm looking at some of the conversations that are being had right here on the chat. as well as my private conversations. But we want to press ahead with the program today. We are we are we are at a terrible crossroads in Guyana. I'm trying to get a feel as to what is going on in the regions, and I am being told that in the regions, you're not going to get a good picture of what's going on in the regions right now. You're not going to get a good feel of what's going on in the region right now because the regional chairpersons, and more particularly those regional chairpersons who are uh, APNU AFC representatives, do not currently have um, you know much role of what is going on in the regions, and there's a particular reason for that. I don't want to discuss that right here right now. I'm trying to pull a few leaders of the AP and UAFC into the circle so that they can give us some answers to some questions, some serious questions that we have to ask. However, this morning we have the wonderful lady that we would have had on our show a few weeks back, um, and a lady of whom I feel very proud. I understand that she is a teacher by profession, but she makes time to go and do the people's more of the people's work, take care of more of the people's business. She takes care of the people's children in the classroom, and then she goes and she takes care of the people's business in office. I'm speaking about the person who is the uh, honorable, distinguished mayor of Linden, her worship, the mayor of Linden. We want to say welcome to you, Madam Mayor. Welcome back to the In Perspective show. And it has been a pleasure talking with you on the one occasion that we did speak, and I guess it's going to be just as pleasurable talking with you this morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I do hope that I can provide all the information you need.
I hope so too, and I'm taking careful note of your requests. All right, so one of the things that I looked at overnight and over the last day or two is the fact that Linden is a town. I don't know why it's not a city as yet. I really don't know why there's not a move to make
True.
Linden a city as yet, because I think it deserves that status. Um, but Linden came out of what I would say the ashes, for the want of a better term. Um, uh, the 63, 64, 65 period was a troubling period for Lindeners, even though it was not in the direct line of fire, as we would say in firing range terms. But Linden went through a lot. They've had their share of the conflicts, but Linden has arisen. Linden has developed a whole lot. Um, some people in Guyana always wonder why it is that Linden is always given this kind of special treatment. Linden is always for for some reason given special treatment, and they always are jealous of Linden. Um, Give us a little. I didn't do that the last time. I thought it was remiss of me not to have done it. Give us a little bit of history of Linden, so that people can understand why it is that Linden is such an integral part of the political spectrum in Guyana.
All right. So, again, and good morning to everyone who's on and viewing this. It truly is an opportunity that I'm honored to be here. So, Linden, as you know, since you hear the name, came out of Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham, who I believe had a heart and a passion when he came and he saw the people. One of the reasons why we are where we are, and why we get what people seem to be, some favors, it's not necessarily favors. Linden developed around a mining town. Mining towns, if we know, have a lot of significance because mining town comes with environmental issues. It comes with how the township will develop based on what work is happening. And so Linden became a melting pot, if you can say, of different cultures. People came from all over to live in a mining town that was not structurally developed to accept living conditions. And so there are a lot of environmental issues at the core. And if you remember, I think the 2012 strike that we had, it had to do with the fact that persons were removing a right from us that we would deserve based on the fact that we were a mining town. And the mining that was happening was causing a lot of LTCUs due to the emission of dust and smoke
Hmm.
within the community. And also that mine operation provided electricity for the people of Linden. So to come as a government to remove that and to put excess strain on a community that was developed over, around one entity became problematic. So Linden favors are not necessarily favors. Linden favors are responsibilities of the government to protect a mining community, to make sure the people are living comfortably, to make sure those people are not being affected by any environmental issues, and to make sure that the services can become decentralized, which a lot of government refuse to have until and you came in 5 years ago, the decentralization of governmental services was not given to the community. And so persons did not have enough job opportunities and all of that. So it wasn't favors per se in my head. It was more so doing your duty as a government to make sure you take care of the people who, of course, will be voting for you.
I love the way that you have structured the response, because of the fact that one must recognize that Linden contributed in a very large way. It was one of the major economic contributors, or major contributors to the country's economy. Back in the day,
Definitely.
when bauxite was the thing, aluminum was the thing around the world. It still is to to a large extent, but they've kind of de-emphasized a little the use of aluminum. But Linden was the melting pot that provided this aluminum, um, that caused, or brought the government a lot of money,
For the
one of our
tribal,
chief exports. So you're correct. I
yeah.
love that. I mean, we owe that to Linden, to Lindeners, to ensure that they're comfortable, and they have the necessary amenities of life. But that
Hmm.
privilege of being a town and remaining, how tell me before I ask that question, how long has Linden been a town? Because like I said, I don't understand why it's not
We
a city as yet.
we are 51 years um, past April 29th.
So it's
And
it's
I
it, it
agree.
is
We did something about becoming a city with the previous administration, and we're hoping that we're able to reach out again and see if this can happen.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the other towns in Guyana that were named not necessarily the same time with Linden, but they were all, we had what, five towns in Guyana at one time, and the others that were there, you had Linden, Rosal, Corriverton, and those, like,
Nuance.
Linden to me is way more developed than all of the others, maybe with the exception of New Amsterdam. There might be a little competition there. But Linden is a whole lot more developed than most of them, So my thing is, what prevented the previous mayors or the previous administrations and the regional administration from seeking the status of a city for Linden all these years?
Not sure I can answer that, but
Okay. You don't want to throw them under the bus.
I do believe no, but I do believe it's about what you see when you walk into the local government system. The local government system is not hard and fast rule, and it keeps changing as time goes by. And I also believe it has a lot to do with national. If national is not willing to let go of their control over those towns, then they wouldn't allow you to become a city. And I think that has been the fear for years. And that's what we need. We
Hmm.
need a government that will let go of that central control and say, look, this is an entity, this is a tongue large enough, larger than the entire island of Trinidad, to become a city and will give them the services they need. So it also has national and local aspects that needs to be followed in order for us to, get through to have that moving forward.
That being said, the I guess the agency through which such a request would have to be made is the Ministry of Local Government. What has been the relationship? What is the relationship like with the Ministry of Local Government? And I speak about the relationship between the city, the town council. Like I'm already saying city, the town council and the Ministry of Local Government.
Well, I must say that we had a lovely relationship prior. We are on a bit shaky grounds right now. I do believe that there must be an understanding between the Ministry of Local Governance and Regional Development, that's what it is now, and the municipalities. And the first thing that could open that doorway is for us to have communications and conversations. I do not feel as though this new administration is open to communication and conversation and sharing. And as you know, Linden is special. We don't like to be told. We like to have a conversation and come to a conclusion that both persons agree upon. We don't seem to be getting that from this administration. I know you would have heard lately we've received a letter from the ministry, from the permanent secretary of the ministry, giving directives to the council. And there's no law that governs that. There's no law that allows that to happen. And I find it concerning because once you take certain positions, it's your place to read, to learn, and then move forward. I do believe I have not met the permanent secretary. I've made several attempts. I've called the offices. I have not gotten to her, nor has calls been returned. But I do believe what needs to happen, she needs to have a sit down with her administration because in no place can the permanent secretary write the mayors. The mayor's line of command is through the minister, and the minister can write the council. The permanent secretary can't. But of course, seeing that she's the one who reports on subventions, she can have a neutral relationship to talk about where the vision of the ministry is and to, how council can work along with that vision. So right now we're having some shaky situations where they're asking for stuff and for information that is not viable to the ministry. And I do know Raj has responded. Of course, the Linden Town Council will respond. But more importantly, we're calling on the councillors to make a general, the mayors to make a general response through the Guyana Association of Municipalities. I think it's just for everybody to understand when we take these positions, have conversations, not sit down in Georgetown and make decisions for municipalities you have not visited and you do not understand what they're going through.
But you raised a very important point there, and like I keep saying to folk, I have come through, and when I say come through, I mean come through. I've come through the local government system. I have worked at both the regional level and the NDC level, so I have a firm grasp of what the system requires, and I am
So I
not
need,
sure
need
that
to be
I
calling you more
ever.
often.
Yeah, sure, I don't mind.
I need to be calling you more often.
I don't mind. I'm at your service. So I don't know if the
Wonderful.
if I have, unless there's an amendment to the law, but the last time I remember having a conversation with Ganga Prasad while he served as the permanent secretary of that ministry. At that time, I was serving as the overseer of one of the NDCs on the East Coast, Demrara. And he did indicate to me that he was requesting that I take a certain position that the PPP administration at that time, that's sometime before 2007, I think it was in 2005, they wanted me to take a certain course of action that was uh, totally opposite to what my counsel was instructing me to take. And he called me to the office and I visited it. And he said, listen, you take instructions from me. I am the accounting officer of the ministry, you're the accounting officer of the NDC. I give you your mandate. And I said, no, you got it wrong, sir. My mandate comes from the council. You can provide guidance as it relates to administrative matters, but you don't have any policy mandate or authority to give any policy mandate. So I don't know that there's any way, anything in the law that says that the permanent secretary has any authority to instruct councils. The permanent secretary is not even the person with the authority to do anything in the ministry other than to give account for the funds and the finances of the ministry and to account for personal matters. So I am not sure I understand what's going on there.
And worst off is that the change, it's even folly. It's even folly to ask now, because with the amendment, it even removes the power of the minister as it relates to the council, because now there's illumination. So the powers are even further removed from them. And I agree with you, because we had written for a subvention to the Ministry of Local Government, and the Ministry of Local Government responded to us. Number one, we asked them for $52 million, because they said to us they're not reevaluating, which means that we wouldn't have funds. So if you're not going to reevaluate, how do we provide a service? When we sent
Mhm.
the 55 million, they said no. Giving us the 18, we said fine. We applied for the 18, and then the minister writes us to say that he does not agree with the line item, but he's asking us to do 3 roads. Now, the issue with the 3 roads are all of them are blatantly in PPP strongholds. Now, a subvention, as you know, is planned by going to the people tell us what they want, and we prepare the subvention. So for you
Mhm.
to write us and say change the subvention, it doesn't happen like that. This is not the RDC, this is the municipality. If you ask us to do something, we have to go back to the people who told us to do it, and then present it to the council, which is voted upon and sent through. And you cannot ask for things that are sidelined and politically affiliated, because local governance cannot stick to a political line. If roads need to be done, all the roads need to be done. And you don't decide which roads need to be done based on you being in Georgetown. You have to come on the ground here and ask us which roads need to be done and which roads are worse off. So, I think everybody's stepping out of their zone and trying to gain maybe clout in the areas that they have. But we just need to understand that local government is different, and let's work together.
Um, I guess some people need, like you said, to have a lesson or two before they start working. Um, the question that people need to ask, or the clarification that needs to be given to the people out there, so that people will know, what grounds they're standing on, is whose whose money are we spending in this thing that we call subvention? Because sometimes people get the impression that when we talk about subvention, it's a gift from the government, the governing party. That's the impression people get. But
Mhm.
I mean, it might help Londoners more if that response comes from their mayor. Whose money are we spending in the under the subventions?
Well, at all means, no government has money. The monies being spent are the monies of the people. There are rates and taxes coming back to us to be spent. And so this is monies returned for the people that was given by the people. So it's not a special money or a gift handed out to the people of Linden. And $16 million cannot, I don't know what it can do. Putting $2 million to patch road is anti-productive. Putting $3 million to maintain a cemetery and drain is anti-productive. But you know what? It's what they give, and we'll continue to fight for more because it's our money, and they should give us more. But if they don't give us more as local government entails, and I think that's my issue. Local government entails me running my municipality based on the finances through rates and taxes. The fact that a government does not want to reevaluate a 1976 rates and tax means they want to control your municipalities. And to say that, and they're placing it saying, oh, they don't want to tax the people. Every township and city are governed by the rates and taxes of their town and city. If you do not have that, then you're making us almost like an RDC, because you want to bring the money and tell us what to do. And that will kill local governance. So, in order to ease all of it, I do believe they just need to go back to what local governance is and allow the rates and taxes reevaluation to be done that was started under the AP and UAFC, because people in this town are willing to pay their rates and taxes to see the development of the town.
Well, of course, because I mean, if you realize that the lack of funds is timing the progress with regards to the development of your town, and you would like to have more recognition, you would like to have a greater property value. I think most people would like to know that the property is it has a higher value than what it might have currently, especially if they want to do business with banks and so on. Then the lower your property values, the less you're able to utilize the facility or the services of the bank, because you're not going to get the kind of money that you might be looking for. Whereas if you have if you have that money, if you have the value attached to the property, then you can have. But I one thing that I would like to say is that I don't know if it still happens or if it's still happening. But while I served as the overseer of that NDC, it was my observation, and I raised it once or twice. It was my observation that while similar to what's going on in your situation there, they were refusing to give us permission to do valuation. They were secretly granting the leaders of the NDCs that are considered their strongholds those permissions. And I got that information from in-house. So they've always been practicing the double standard. And like you said, it's
Yeah.
not just a case of them wanting to control the area. By one means, they're using different means to ensure that they keep the particular areas under control. So if you're financially unable to support your programs as proposed, then we've got to come in and help you. And if we come in and help you, we tell you what to do with the funds. What do you plan to do to counteract that, or what have you been doing to counteract those wicked schemes?
I think Linden does what they do best. Do we? But I believe it's about finding the. I think what they've tried to master is finding the loopholes in the policies and laws and see how they can use it against us. And one of the strength of the Linden municipalities that we read. So there's a couple of things we do know that cannot happen. So while we don't fight in open spaces, you can rest assured that there's a couple of things that will not pass with this administration. We're responding to the minister and to any ministry who writes us anything that is anti the law. And we understand local governance and we will be working to make sure that local government in Linden remains. So I know it's going to be a long haul. There's going to be lots of back and forth, but we are working right at this point. We're looking to do not our own reevaluation, but we're reaching out to the people of Linden. There's so many persons who are not supposed to be paying, but they're coming on board to pay. So we're reaching out because once we can become self-sufficient, it means we do not need local government to come in and say anything to us. The people will run Linden as the people should. And so we're working with that. It's going to be long, it may be slow, may not finish when I leave, but I do hope that once the new mayor takes up, that they'll continue that fight.
One of the things that well, I don't know if I can say we did, because it wasn't a decision that was taken at the council level, but as the chief executive officer of any organization, you're expected to find ways and means of enhancing what is offered by the organization, as well as helping your people to make life better for themselves. So one of the things I did was that when I met with people, I advised them in their private capacity to go down to the valuation division on Camp Street and tell the folk that you need to have it properly valued. They may tell you, well,
Wonderful.
our records say this is a value, and you tell them, listen, no, 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 no. I intend to approach the bank shortly for a loan, and I don't want that. So please, how much do I have to pay? And then they explain to you that there's valuation for marketing purposes, of course, and then valuation for rating purposes. Well, you tell them you want both. So at the end of the day, you keep your marketing property value and you bring the rating property value to me. So I don't know, you can probably in your little, bottom house meetings, private sessions, advise the people to do so. Why is it the government, the stricter the government, why is it the population?
Thank you for that information. Very much so. It will be something that we start looking into.
Yeah, I mean, it brings in the thing in your coffers. I mean, there's some areas that are not considered well, they're not registered officially, and therefore some people go on their own and seek valuation, and they tell them no, that's not up for valuation as yet. That area is not up for valuation as yet. But there is some provision there. I don't remember exactly where it is. There's some provision there in the laws that allow for people who have completed structures that are occupied to pay something. So all of those things can be taken into consideration, and once people are willing to go along with it, they can do that. But that having that that leads us to another element of the conflict that we are observing in Linden. The last time we spoke, we were told that the government was trying to foist this program of this stadium, this whole stadium thing onto the Lindeners. What is the current status of that project?
Um, so right now it's on a, we've plateaued. I know they're in the process of having the Mackenzie Sports Club ground elections, and I'm almost certain it's waiting on that election before a decision is made. We had written to the government about it, but I think this government has um, learned the art of avoidance until a
Hmm.
situation is in their hands. They have yet to respond, but of course, we will continue to speak with them, and we're hoping that once that election goes through, where the mayor and town council sits as a seat now has a seat on that board, we're able to have a conversation with the board of the Mackenzie Sports Club ground, because of course the people of Mackenzie Sports Club ground are elected to serve the people of Linden. And
Hmm.
if a decision to transform the Mackenzie Sports Club ground is passed, it's not their decision to sit and make without community consultation. So once that passes, we'll know where the next step is.
Okay. I want to move to the COVID-19 situation in Guyana. What is the status of the COVID in Linden? How are you managing that?
Huh. You know, I don't know how well we're not managing it. I think the administration, the COVID team, the police, the RDC, everybody's doing what they should do to manage. I think it has become a citizen issue. I know that a lot of us saw during Linden Town Week that one of the residents hosted a party, and you could have sworn that the party said no mask allowed because nobody had on a mask. In fact, that was on
Wow.
the ticket that was sold that said no mask allowed. I think the problem is people are not becoming conscious on their own. We are doing everything in Linden. And I know there's a call because Linden had lockdown prior for us to lock down Linden. But it would be anti-productive if we lock down Linden, but there are private parties that residents are attending. I believe it's time every person take the onus upon themselves to protect themselves and families. There is information out there, it's being shared. There is vaccines being distributed. And I think at this point, it's just in the hands of residents to take control. We are now at, I think, 100 or 280 something. How did we get there? But not in the town, in the entire
Mhm.
region. We realize, however, that it's not in the town, it's in the region. We
Yeah,
do
yeah.
realize we are asking them to give us breakdowns in the town so we know where in the town it is. Because as the mayor, I cannot stretch out to outside of my scope. But if we
Hmm.
get information on where in the town it is, then we can go to those communities and talk a little more. There are so many persons in here making sure they wear their mask, they stay at home, they sanitize, and then there's a few who feel they should not wear their mask and they are tired of staying home. But we have to encourage each other that it's now time for us to take it upon ourselves. and to make sure we take care of ourselves and our families.
I think that's a problem generally across Guyana, and I'm not sure how people at home are viewing it, but the longer people take to adhere to the proposals, the suggestions, the recommendations made in regards to COVID, it's the longer it's going to take to recover from this economic lapse. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse because um, I looked at this news item here 2 or 3 days ago, and in the news item, the government here is emphasizing that the situation in India is almost comparable to the situation in South America. And they're not singling out anybody and making differentiations and saying, oh, Guyana is a little better, or they're saying South America because it's bad in South America. And we are right on the Brazil, up on the Brazil. We're right up
Yes,
under Venezuela.
yes.
We're not far off from Colombia, and the situation in those countries is ridiculous. We're highlighting India, I guess, because this is just a massive a sudden outbreak there. But in Brazil, it's spiraling. It has spiraled out of control, and yet we have a whole lot of people coming in from Brazil. And why isn't there? I don't know. I don't know if you would be able to answer this question, but from your mayoral office, I'm not sure if you have made an inquiry, but why isn't there a Ministry of Health or public health patrol out there where instead of sending police officers and soldiers running around with buses, like I said, I don't know what they want them to become. People calling them party buses now. Why don't we send Ministry of Health personnel out with a police team to identify these parties, get tip lines so that people can call in, people who are not because they want to be rats or whatever you want to call it, or snitches, but people got to be conscious of their health. And somebody calls and says, hey, there's a party, there's a secret private party at this address, and it's anonymous. The call is an anonymous call. It is given to the Ministry of Health personnel, not the police, because sometimes the police are ridiculous with dealing with these kind of calls. So they send it to the Ministry of the Ministry of Health personnel, and they call the police and say, "Hey, we've got a tip. We need a team to go with us to this address," and they go out there and keep shutting down these parties and $500 fine and them thing that they're slapping on people. People got to get $10,000 fine. Come to the place where they realize it doesn't make sense that I lose $10,000 just to go and drink 2 bottles of beer and wine up on some lady or some man.
I do believe
I
I have
don't know.
a
If you
personal.
want to start
I,
an explanation.
I can't. I can't really answer the question on how it works for national, but I'll tell you what my fear is. We continue to try to run a country from a central point. It cannot happen. Every town, every village is unique. I think the sad part is we are not utilizing our local organs effectively to help us manage. If we decentralize how we deal with COVID, it's going to be different. I don't believe that the police does not know when these parties are. I'm sitting in the salon when I hear, oh, there's a party on Saturday. I know people know. Tickets had to have been sold. It's advertising on Facebook. But how do we fix the problem? Because somebody is giving approval, private approval nationally to things that you in the local arm does not know. How does it happen? So decentralizing how we manage COVID is what we need to do. Every municipality, every village should have a task force. The task force is attached, but the task force seems to still be listening to upper higher up the chain. How do we just work together as a task force and manage us? So when we report, we're managing the region. We report weekly on the region. And we can state clearly this region is failing in this area. And then as the regional officials, we sit down and decide how we'll deal with it. But if everybody has to keep making suggestions and recommendations on how to deal with it. Then send it up to a higher authority who sits down again to make recommendations and suggestions on how to deal with it. Then send it back down. We're gonna lose. Somewhere in the midst is gonna get lost. So decentralizing how we deal with the COVID issue is what we need, and empowering our leaders to do what they have to do. Empower our local people to take actions. By now, if I find somebody on behalf of the council, $5,000 for not wearing a mask on the road, the people gonna call national. Is there a national law that governs me doing this? And if the money is going to come to the council or to you, sit down, come up with a guideline. And this is for you to develop your township too. Every
Yeah.
municipality and every NDC should have a guideline on cost, on if you're found without wearing a mask, if you're found partying, if you found your bar open that should not be open, and it should be centralized, because you know what? People will work harder if they feel as though they're also the ones benefiting.
Yeah.
We, it just gives people, it's not that you're not working, but you know, give us something to work. Don't have us going back and forth between national to get it done. Because we are empowered and we can do it. It's just being able to release that power into the hands of the people and we'll get it done. So for me, it needs a local arm to be more effective and to have the power to do.
I certainly agree, and I'm kind of troubled because like I said the last time I spoke with somebody about this COVID-19 situation, one would have thought that a wise administration would look at what's going on around the world and learn from all of these mistakes, and probably try to build on the strides, the gains of the governments around the world. So if one looks carefully at, for example, the USA, even though we've got the largest figure in terms of deaths and the highest infection rate. I think India might beat us off in a minute, but um, we have learned a lot. And for example, in New York here, one of the ways that these people brought this thing under control rapidly is by involving or including this whole thing, the churches, the sports organizations, everybody, so that everybody was on board. At the churches, you get the leaders of the churches to understand, whether you hold workshops with them, these ad hoc or brief planned workshops with them, helping them to understand the importance and the efficacy of the vaccines. And then alongside that, helping them to understand that there is also treatment available for people who have just been discovered or declared positive, so that you don't stay and get bad, you don't deteriorate, your health doesn't deteriorate before you seek help. But if you can get people to understand all those things in the churches, and like in America here, for some strange reason, the trickle down thing happened. The black people up here were kind of bothered about this vaccine stuff because of their experience in the past. And it went down to Ghana. Guyanese just bought it hook, line, and sinker without checking to see what's going on. We don't have a situation like that there to say, well, we've had the same experience. But I think, like you said, the government needs to involve every aspect of the local community in the whole process. But as we're talking about health, one of the primary reasons for the national spotlight to be placed on Linden in recent times is the situation with the nurses. I know that the nurses don't fall under your purview; they're strictly regional. But we have observed, and they have issued a statement indicating that the nurses were on strike for, I think, 66 or something like that among the days. And for some strange reason, they have indicated that they brought the strike to an end because they didn't get the support that they needed. I am not familiar with the whole situation, all the dynamics of the situation there. Um, what kind of support were they looking for? Were they looking for more support from the city, from the town? I'm saying city again. Things, common events, gas in the shadows. From the town council, were they looking for more support from the regional administration? Were they looking for more support from the party that you are representing? What's your feel of the situation with the nurses?
Well, I don't know how much more support they were looking for. I do believe that the local organs here did turn out in their numbers to support. They did show up, they did make statements. My fear is this, and I'll give you an example. At the Maritime Council, we had a strike. The workers went out on strike because they didn't feel they were getting enough monies, their NIS wasn't paid. And so the union came in. When the union came in, we went to sit down at the table for discussion. We decided that while we have the discussion as union and heads, all workers are to return to their jobs. And so the workers work while we come to a conclusion. I don't know how it works at the regional and the national level, but I believe there was a conversation that says the government will go to a union discussion. And I don't know if the persons were supposed to return to work while the union was in discussion. And then if they did not agree with the union decision, they could strike again. I do believe that the information reaching the nurses might have not been clear enough. They weren't guided well enough. And so it escalated into what it is now. I cannot say that our party did not support, we supported. But my fear is this: I do not understand how our laws are functioning. There has to be a law that protects persons that go on strike for their, this wasn't for personal, this was for rights.
Mhm.
Was that law carried out? And because I have the feeling from this conversation that they don't believe that they got justice for whatever they were doing. But I don't know what that is. I can maybe do some research, but I believe in everything we do, and even as a party, let's make sure we give our people those information. Find the law that governs what they're doing and guide them correctly. If they were supposed to return, wait for a response, and then they didn't like the response and go back on strike, that should have been done. But I'm not certain how it should have worked. And I'm going to definitely start doing some finding out. It's not my area. I don't like to tread in other person's spaces, but maybe it's something for me to ask about, because it means therefore that persons are being maybe victimized in Linden, salaries may be cut, and again, that affects the municipality in the end. So
Exactly.
into it.
Yeah, I support you there because at the end of the day, regional administration or not, I don't understand. This is a real freaky thing. You are giving the local government organ in the area the authority to do certain things, but then you're not giving them the authority really, because when something happens, you're the one who has to decide it. I am not sure if I can wholly and solely put the blame for that at the feet of the PPP administration, because they're not the ones who formulated the local government policies in the beginning. And even though we would have been there for a number of years, we did not see through. Maybe like the Americans didn't see that their constitution needed to be amended, and these loopholes plugged, the loopholes that Donald Trump used to spit in the faces, so to speak. It might have been a similar situation in Guyana, but at the end of the day, the people who are feeling the squeeze are the people who are in your municipality, because the region has a larger field, and it goes way beyond Linden per se. So, but Linden, the people in Linden, or the people of Linden, are the ones who are the ones feeling the squeeze. And if the hospital complex is shut down, or the service is anemic or unsatisfactory, then it is your folk who are going to be affected. And like you said, I think it warrants some measure of, even if it's just an inquiry on the part of the mayor and town council, so that you can know what's going on. But I did observe, for information's sake, that the permanent secretary had indicated, and this is in alluding to the point that you made about protection for striking workers. I observed that the permanent secretary had said that the strike number one was illegal. I don't know about an illegal strike. Like, somebody needs to teach these people, you know, how to use words. There's not, it's like telling somebody a protest is illegal. How can a protest action be illegal? I am protesting something that you're doing to me that is not acceptable. And you tell me my protest is illegal? Strike is like a protest, it's a form of protest. We're protesting the poor wages or the poor working conditions. It's a form of protest. So how are you going to tell people that it is illegal? And then he did say too that in order for them to engage the union, the nurses need to go back to work. That I can understand, that you're looking to resolve an issue and you're saying, well, look here, we cannot talk. It's like you're telling me that uh, I have run away from home, and I need to come back home, but I need some conditions home to be better. And I am telling you that I will talk to you. I will have a conversation with you from Florida or from Japan. Whereas you're saying, listen, for you to negotiate with me, you've got to come home, and in the house we resolve this matter. You show me that, show me where and where we need to plug and correct and so on. So I can understand that. But to tell the people that they have no right to strike, what the hell is that?
I don't, this I have never seen this sort of politics. It is just child's play. It's like we have a group of little children managing our country who's not reading any constitution, not studying, but attempting to manage. Everybody has a right to strike. And it's sad that the reason why they strike was not elaborated upon more. And anybody who feels as though their person and space is violated should be looked after by the sitting government, regardless of which government it is, because
Mhm,
you are now the sitting government. This is not Dolly House, so you vex that I didn't vote for you. You are now the sitting government.
mhm.
Whether you got there by fair means or not, you're there. And your responsibility is to look into the well being of the people. And I think that is the part that disturbs me. Women feeling violated and a government overlooking that is problematic. We make up almost 60% of the voting list. We outnumber men. You need our votes. So you treat us well. And I think that concerns me. And I do know, because I started following up, there are other issues that are on the line that the nurses are now afraid to look into because the laws are not there to protect them. So what we need to do is start studying, find the laws that are there to protect them, because the people seem to be able to find loopholes in the law to cover themselves and have their lawyers and judges doing whatever they want and changing rules and laws. We need to be able to do the same, not to violate the law per se, but to find the law and to be able to follow that law. And I believe that is where we're becoming fearful. Right, my battery is dying.
Oh,
I think we're back on. Yes. We need to be able as a people, and this comes with our local leadership, to help sit down with those unions. The nurses may have a group, and to find the place in the laws that allows them when they go out and when they speak to do it on a basis of some foundation of law. Of course, we have the fear where the laws are trampled upon by this administration. But I do believe that in all fairness, if we at least have a side, it helps to safeguard our nurses. So definitely, we'll sit down. Maybe the next time we talk, we'll be able to have more information on how we as the local leaders supported our nurses in getting through this period.
yeah, I hope so. I'm trying to have a conversation with the regional chairman as well, because I'm saying that hospital is a regional hospital primarily, and it provides, or it ought to be providing service to people from as far as Kokwani right through. And my thinking is, if we're in a pandemic, how can you comfortably sit down and have nurses, your hospital staff, on strike during a pandemic? It therefore means that you were telling the people, Linden, look, y'all dead. We don't have time with you. You go and die, because we're not concerned about your nurses. We're not checking into the situation. But you know what? You made a point there that made me chuckle a little. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I'm not hitting at anybody. I'm just stating the facts. I had a conversation the other day, and I was saying to the person, why is it that our national leaders, and it's something that is prominent in the PPP, not from now, I absorbed it from the previous administration, the previous PPP administration, they don't have much regard for the rights of women. And I asked, why is it that these guys and girls up there do not make it a matter of national policy to speak out against the abuses against women? And I was immediately candidly reminded, hey, that cannot happen, but the people can't talk about that. They will never talk about that, because you need to remember that the former first lady came out publicly and made allegations against the former president, who's a top leader in the party. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, uh, it's not going to benefit the government to speak about that. they're gonna have things being thrown back at them all the time. It's unfortunate, but I mean, if we mature politically and otherwise, I think we will have that conversation regardless of. I realize that our time is slipping, and yeah, you were on time. I was late, so I can't penalize you for being on time in order to cover my tardiness. So, uh, what else do you want to tell us about Linden? There are a lot of lots of Lindeners here. They're representing. They're as we say they're bigging up and going on bad in the chat here. So what else do you want them to know? By the way, I think I made an suggestion the last time that you can reach out to the people of Linden or from Linden in the diaspora via the forum and let them know what needs to be done so that they can contribute towards whatever project you have. I'm not sure that advantage was taken of that.
I don't believe I did. But of course, my number is free 61421 2124. I do apologize. 6142124, or I can be emailed at lindepmayor or mayor@linden.gov.gy. I think those are the emails. I can send them to you. Um, of course, we're trying to do a lot with little here in Linden. Um, I think the greatest thing is the strength of the people that keeps me going and that makes me say, okay, I can continue doing this. We are trying to do some projects, and we are at this point open for investors. I think one of the things, Linden has so much potential, but we do not have the collateral here. So investors coming in with a heart for the people. I know we saw a company where the Russian was abusing one of the locals.
Hmm.
That will not pass in Linden no time of the day. So I'd advise people to wisely choose if they'll come to Linden. But we want to have those investors. We want to invest in our people. Um, we have opened to developing our riverfront. There's now some money sent that will allow us to do a study on the riverfront and to see how we can transform it and develop it. We're looking at open spaces. I know if you've been to Linden lately, there's no open space for children or adults. And so we're working on some open spaces along the riverfront. We will have the plan of the open spaces up because I know people support when they see
Yeah.
what it is, where you'd like to go. So we're now doing the plan to show how our theme park and our community space would be. And we'd like to call persons on board to help us, to support us. I know a lot of people know about the bandstand prior. We have revitalized the bandstand. We've done it over, but I think one of the most important things we want to do, we want to launch by the 26th of this month. I don't know if we'll get it off, a community band where we're able to train our young people. And it's not just about them learning music, but it'll be them learning skills and development because we want to utilize that community, the bandstand. So we utilize it with the talents of our people. So we're now in the process of developing a proposal to have a community band developed that will have our seniors, y'all know cannonballs come out to
Oh
Linden,
yeah, definitely.
singers. We got singers. We have the artist industry in Linden is so great, but we have not had investors in the industry of art, and so this is a start for us, and we really want to pass on that to the next generation. So we're going to be looking for support. So anybody who's willing to support in the development of a community band, it's new to me, but I'm working on what it is we need and how we procure what we need. And we're hoping to launch this on the 26th of May, at least the project and the idea of what it is we want to do to develop. Um, so there's so much we can do here. There's so much land space. I know some persons are now looking into golfing in Linden. You guys know we have the airstrip also, the development of the airstrip. And we're trying to make sure that these places are not sold off. We know what happens with government, with this government. We but can be sitting here and places are sold off. We heard about the potential selling of the Watuka Club. So these
Mm.
are things we're on the ground really trying to keep all this information that is battling around and being focused to make sure that Lindeners get the benefit of Linden and nobody walks in to our township and takes away what the people deserve. And so we'd love for you to continue to showcase us, continue to have people reach out to us. give us the support we need. We're trying new things. We're trying to see how we can really change the mindset of our people. We're trying to see how we can work on redesigning Linden in terms of solid waste management. It is tough because at this point we're very low on funds, but we're reaching out to see how we can get the people to change the management of solid waste in the country and in the identified country. Linden is not a country on the own tongue. um, in the management of the town. So we're looking at separation of waste in our homes, at least looking at that. We're looking at creating a not a dump site, but a solid waste management site in
Okay.
Linden. We're going to be able, we're trying to do true programs and we'd love to have any help we can in terms of people being able to showcase, to advertise, and to encourage people to not dump on our roadways, not dump in your yards, not burn. All of that we're trying to get done. So it's coming together slowly, but any support, any assistance we can get in terms of how we get it off the ground is something we can do. Persons have so much skills either at home here or in the diaspora. So reach out to us and just give us ideas. The ideas might spark us moving forward in some of the plans we have.
All right, well said. I don't know if you're in contact with one of your top Lindeners. Listen, that's somebody I wish if I had the luxury of being in his company for a long time, I would have learned so much. But he has committed to ensuring that he remains focused on development of Linden. I'm speaking about Dr. Vincent Adams. And I think he can help drive the programs in a major way. And I would urge, regardless of which party the man might be supporting, or if he supports any at all in Guyana, I think his resource his resource would be an asset to Linden on any given day. So he can even form the nexus, because I think he said he's still involved in this Linden fund, whatever. So yeah, I mean, pull in
Yes.
all the resource personnel that you can pull in and roll with it. But like I said, when it comes to the administrative part, I didn't manage a tongue. I managed an NDC. There are two different laws that govern the two entities, but at least the experience can be shared, and lots can be done across the waves here. Thank you so much for coming on, and I know you have a busy day ahead of you. Your input into this whole potpourri of knowledge that is shared around the place is invaluable, and I am sure that the Linders appreciate what you do. And I am saying, I should tell you that based on what I'm seeing here, they are very proud of their mayor.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, they like the way you speak. I see somebody said, great command of the language. I love the vocabulary. So, I mean, they're elated. All right, you have a wonderful day. God's richest blessings to
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much. Do have a blessed day.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so there we have had a conversation today with her worship the mayor, Miss Waneka Arrindell of Linden, and of course she did point out a couple of things, raise a few questions, she did make a few revelations. We need to be informed. We hope that we will have something more coming out of the nurses situation there in Linden, and I trust that as time goes by, projects that they have, the town, I'm saying city, the place should be a city, man. I mean, plain and straight. You got a place 51 years as a town, and it ain't a city yet. So, well, like, some people were born in Linden and have died, lived almost a full lifetime in Linden, and it's not a city as yet. What really going on in this place, man? This is really crazy. So we've got to have a serious push, a concerted effort ought to be made to ensure that Linden becomes either the second or at least one of the second set of cities in Guyana. All right. Um, on Friday we will have a conversation again with Mr. Patterson, David Patterson. We will discuss things relating to the public infrastructure sector the public infrastructure sector. In previous discussions, we would have focused a lot on the oil and gas, and so we had one discussion on public infrastructure. So this time around, we'll focus on public infrastructure, and I'm trying to see if I can hook up with people at PAHO WHO so that we can have a conversation with them, and they can advise us on this COVID-19 situation, the vaccines, the efficiency and the efficacy of the vaccines. I have noticed that Guyana has received, the Guyana is the recipient, has been the recipient again of a second set of a second batch of the AstraZeneca vaccine. So those persons who have indicated that that is their preference, I think it's 30 something thousand doses again. So get yourself lined up, and you're scared of taking the Russian Sputnik, you're scared of taking the Chinese, whatever the name is, then you've got the AstraZeneca there again. Get yourself lined up and linked up so that you can have access to the vaccine. Please take the vaccine, people. Yeah, stop doing stupidness in Guyana. This thing is serious. Listen, this thing is going to be so serious that people usually go home a lot for the August holiday and spend big and bring up the economy, give you a little small piece, go around the place, buy. People are not going to go home. I have spoken with people who said they're scared to go home because COVID is rampant and the people are not behaving responsibly. So get yourself sorted out. Take the vaccine. Nothing is wrong with it. We can't blame the PPP this time. The PPP ministers have taken the vaccine. We can't blame the parliamentarians. The parliamentarians have taken the vaccine. So what are you waiting on? And these people who are bringing in the Brazilians and taking money, bringing them backtrack and think, y'all better stop your nonsense before people get mad and start looking for y'all too. You can't do that. The government is doing their best. I mean, I've always said when the people do good, you gotta compliment them. They're doing the best that they could under the circumstances to bring the thing under control, and y'all bringing in the Brazilians and Venezuelans and what have you for money. You risking your health for money. You got to be crazy. Got to be crazy. All right. So listen, please take the vaccine. Please go get yourself signed up to take the AstraZeneca. It is available in Guyana. 30, I think 32 or 33 or 34, something like that. 1,000 shots. Go get yourself vaccinated and protect yourself from this mad, sick, crazy virus. And it's not that you've taken 2 shots to get the AstraZeneca. You understand? You've got a few weeks in between the shots. I know somebody here who told me that she had the AstraZeneca vaccine. She got it in sometime in March, late March, and she's got to go for the. Somebody right in Guyana there, sorry, somebody right in Guyana was telling me she got the AstraZeneca. She got it in late March. She's not required to go take the second shot until sometime in June, early June. So you got breathing space. You're like we. I had 2 weeks, 2 weeks to recover and prepare the arm to take the other one. Y'all behave yourself, man. Get this country healed, so that you can progress can be made. You can continue to live your life as you want to live it. Sacrifice the little party time now, so that you can enjoy the party time in the on the at the back end. You can't give go to parties now, get sick and expect things to go well. And then look at the situation in India. So many medical personnel are attending to these people, and they're dying. They are dying. They're trying to save people, and they are being killed by those persons who are unconscionable. All right, so let's do this thing the right way. Go get your vaccine and take. Thank you very much to those persons who have been supporting us with their little funds so that we can keep this thing rolling. Whenever we get something coming into the kitty, Mr. Weeks is happy because he can pay the bills. All right, remember I'm here. I don't have any bills to pay. I can't pay any bill. He's the man controlling the system. He has to pay for the software. He has to pay all the bills down there. So when we drop a little might in there, his work is made easier, and we can move on, nicely, and we have smooth flow. So those of you who have not given a commitment as yet, I don't want to call people's names because some people don't want to be, identified publicly for various reasons, and I appreciate and understand that. So let's 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 go make life better for somebody. And by the way, as you go through today's smile, somebody must be able to benefit from your smile. Somebody might be depressed and so on, and if you give them a smile, you lift them up for the day. You know, you never can tell. It might be me. You- All right, so see you on Friday. Have a wonderful day. You have the handles there, Cash App. You've got the Venmo. You've got the PayPal. All those handles are there. You can think. We look forward to having information from the mayor of Linden, the website, the email address, the addresses, the telephone numbers, so that we can put them up on our page, so Lindeners in the diaspora can get those bits of information, make contact, and make a contribution to the continued development of Linden. For now, until Friday morning, this is Branford, your host, saying, I'm out.